Yesterday, Connor Wong sustained an injury during a spring training game. On top of that, we found out information about Jorge Alfaro's contract with this Red Sox team that makes the catching situation for this team one of the most fascinating storylines of this spring. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and the catching situation for the Red Sox is super interesting right now. They don't have a set catcher. All signs kind of point towards Reese McGuire being the sort of everyday catcher for this Red Sox team. Thought process was most likely going to be Reese gets most of the games while Connor Wong sort of platoons with Reese McGuire, but that has not been confirmed yet. There's been no sort of announcement as to who's going to be the everyday catcher of this Red Sox team, and there are definitely still other people involved in the process, like Jorge Alfaro, who's very much in the mix to be a part of the catching tandem of the 2023 Red Sox. Well, like I said in my little intro there, Connor Wong got injured in yesterday's spring training game, making this whole situation all the more fascinating. So what we are going to do in today's video is break down Connor Wong's injury, what it means for Connor Wong, what it means for the Red Sox, and we're going to talk about Jorge Alfaro and his situation as well, how that affects the catching situation of this Red Sox team. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. I think the best place to start when breaking this Red Sox catching situation down and how just insane it's been lately is to start with the latest news, and that is the Connor Wong injury. Yesterday during the Philly spring training game, Connor Wong appeared to just leave out of nowhere. There was a bit of a delay, and all of a sudden there was a new catcher behind the plate for the Boston Red Sox. No super big acknowledgement about it on the broadcast, and as it turns out, during the game yesterday, Connor Wong injured his hamstring running to first base. Now, after the game, Alex Cora was quoted saying he's tight. We'll know more tomorrow. It doesn't look good right now, but hopefully we get better news in the morning. And luckily for the Red Sox and luckily for Connor Wong, they did get better news this morning because as it turns out, Connor Wong has a grade 1 hamstring strain. Now that sucks because it's still an injury and obviously that's going to affect him, but it could have been a lot worse. Grade 1 hamstrings, according to, well, Google, is the mildest of the 3 hamstring grades, so it could have been a lot worse for Connor Wong, which is a good thing. On top of that too, he spoke to Rob Bradford this morning and he said that he suffered a similar muscle strain in 2021. He said that the one in 2021 felt worse than it does right now, and he was able to play through the injury in 2021, so hopefully that means that Connor Wong isn't affected for a super long period of time. It doesn't seem as though this is a type of injury that's going to keep him out for a month or two into the season. It may be something that may put him a little bit behind in terms of getting ready for opening day, so maybe Connor Wong isn't ready for opening day, but this isn't a season-ending injury, which is a really great sign for the Boston Red Sox. And while he probably could play through this injury if he was able to play through the one in 2021, this is spring training, right? The Red Sox are going to be super cautious with injuries and guys making sure that they are ready and fully good to go for opening day, especially after the year we had last year. So I would be shocked if we saw Connor Wong playing for the Red Sox for a little bit. They're going to make sure he's fully healthy and ready to go before they put him back out onto the field, even though, again, he could probably play through this injury. So what does this mean for the Red Sox and their catching situation? So to get the answer to that question, we're actually going to have to dive a little bit deeper, and this is where Jorge Alfaro comes into play and his contract situation. Because before yesterday's spring training game, before Connor Wong was even injured, and that was even a possibility or a factor in all of this, it was reported by Chris Cotillo that Jorge Alfaro has a clause in his contract that if by March 25th, just a couple of weeks from now, he is not on the Red Sox 40-man roster, he can request to make himself available to other teams in Major League Baseball. What this basically means is he's making himself available to new contracts. If another team around the league wants to offer Jorge Alfaro a contract and he believes that it is a better deal than what he's got with the Red Sox, he can opt out of his contract with the Red Sox and sign with that other team, making this whole catching situation even more complicated, right? Because what do the Red Sox do with Alfaro now? Do they add him to the 40-man roster and keep 3 catchers on this 40-man roster? Do they take a chance and see if he ends up actually possibly opting out, because even if he does get a deal, it's not guaranteed that he's going to take it, and it's not guaranteed that he gets a deal at all. So do the Red Sox run that risk? Do they add him to the 40-man roster? Those are going to have to be decisions that are made within the next couple of weeks regarding this Red Sox catching situation. Then you add Connor Wong on top of it, who could be ready for opening day, or he may not be ready for opening day. Honestly, a hamstring injury like this tends to be persistent and last a pretty long time. Does that mean that he can't play through it though? I'm not entirely sure. So you have those two layers right now added on top of there not being a legitimate starting catcher on this Red Sox team as of yet. No one has really been named. So let's compare Jorge Alfaro to Connor Wong and see if there's a clear answer when we compare them. If you compare Connor Wong's 2022 campaign to Jorge Alfaro's 2022 campaign, offensively, Alfaro has him beat by a long shot, right? Everything on the screen now is in Alfaro's favor. Average on base percentage, slugging, OPS plus, home runs, doubles, right? That one should be pretty clear. Jorge Alfaro in general has a much higher upside in terms of offensive ability than Connor Wong ever had as a prospect, and that's always kind of been his MO. He's a good hitter. He's a decent hitter with a ton of power potential. So it makes sense that last year Jorge Alfaro was better offensively than Connor Wong, but it wasn't a much larger sample size. We don't know what Connor Wong looks like over the stretch of, let's say, 80, 90, 60, 70, somewhere in that range amount of games, because we have not seen that yet. So Connor Wong's true hit potential is a bit unknown right now. As for defense, Connor Wong has Jorge Alfaro beat in a landslide. Jorge Alfaro has a cannon and he does have decent pop time, but outside of that, he's not a great defensive catcher, at least in his career. That doesn't mean that things can't change. On the other hand, Connor Wong is a great defensive catcher. He's also a guy who has the upper hand when it comes to this pitching staff. He's already caught this pitching staff a bunch. He's pretty close with Chris Sale. Other guys who have come and gone on this Red Sox team loved pitching to Connor Wong. In fact, Rich Hill, when he left the Red Sox, did an interview again with Rob Bradford, where he said that he thinks Connor Wong could be a leader in this Red Sox clubhouse because of how well he handles this pitching staff within the next coming years. So Connor Wong has Alfaro beat defensively and just relationship wise with this team, which makes sense. Connor Wong has been here for a while. Jorge Alfaro is new, but Jorge Alfaro has him beat in offensive potential, which the Red Sox honestly could still use, right? They could use a guy that is right-handed that has a ton of offensive potential, because outside of Adam Duvall, you're hoping that Kike Hernandez, Christian Arroyo, and when Trevor Story gets back, make up for the lack of right-handed power in this lineup. So adding Alfaro could be huge offensively, but having Jarren Duran as your second catching option defensively is a really great idea. So there really isn't a clear answer when you compare these two head to head as to which one is the better choice for this Red Sox team. So at the end of the day, it is a really tough decision right now as to what the Red Sox should do in terms of their catching situation. Now, if I was in charge of making this decision, I would wait a little bit. You do have time, right? You have a couple of weeks. What does Connor Wong's injury look like as you get closer to that March 25th date? How is Jorge Alfaro improving defensively with working with Jason Varitek as we get closer to that date? Is Jorge Alfaro doing well in the World Baseball Classic? And I'm sure there is a way to figure out if there are any teams that could be interested in Jorge Alfaro, again, as they get closer to that March 25th date. But once you get to that March 25th date, what do you do? Because in my opinion, if Jorge Alfaro is struggling a little bit at the plate and Jason Varitek is like, he's doing okay, but he's not really where I want him to be, I take the chance, right? I would rather have Connor Wong, who knows and understands the pitching staff of this Red Sox team, a guy who has been here and who has maintained relationships with the pitching staff of this team and who's better defensively, than sort of an unknown offensively with Jorge Alfaro, and a guy who is going to have to really work on his defense to make a true difference as a backup catcher in Major League Baseball. But at the same time too, this is where Connor Wong's injury comes in. I would like to see how Connor Wong looks towards the end of the month. If he doesn't look like he's going to be ready for opening day, add Jorge Alfaro to this 40-man roster. That's pretty simple, right? Again, that bat could be really, really useful for this Red Sox team. Plus, seems like a great personality. He's got great hair, could be a fun guy to watch during the year. So at the end of the day, I think in general, I'm leaning towards adding Jorge Alfaro to the 40-man roster either way. I think either way, adding Jorge Alfaro could be a smart idea, and it gets even smarter when you hear the news of Connor Wong's injury. So in my opinion, add Jorge Alfaro to the 40-man roster. But I want your opinion as well. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of this Red Sox catching situation right now? It is a lot to take in. So let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you think about Connor Wong's injury. Do you think it's going to be a persistent one? Do you think he's going to be able to play through it? And do you think he's going to be able to play through it well? And finally, what do you think of Jorge Alfaro's contract stipulation? And would you or would you not add him to the 40-man roster in hopes that he does not leave this Red Sox team? Plus, what are your thoughts on Jorge Alfaro's 2023 campaign in general? Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox catching situation down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.